students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about a recent topic that has made the headlines with regards to the launch of 5G in India. And in this particular video, we are going to discuss in details about what is basically 5G, why and how it has been launched, and where in which part of India it will launch in the initial stages, and also we'll briefly discuss about what are the advantages that the 5G technology will offer as compared to its predecessors such as 3G and 4G. So first of all, let us try to understand why this particular issue is in news. So recently, almost after 5 years since India has embarked upon the journey or on the road to launch the 5G network, the finally 5G services can be said to be have arrived in the country. And recently, on 1st of October, Prime Minister Narendra Modi have launched 5G services, ushering in what is believed by experts or scholars as to be an era of ultra high speed internet on the mobile phones and the other related devices. And initially, however, we can understand that the services will not be available pan India, but it will basically be available to citizens in a phase wise manner, and only few select cities will be able to take advantage of this 5G technology in the initial few months after the launch. So let us first try to understand that which part of India can get benefit of 5G technology or where it will be available in the initial phases. So as the statement published by three entities, that is Reliance Jio, then we have Bharti Airtel as well as Ministry of Communication and Technology. In the first phase after October, it will be available in the cities, major metropolitan cities such as Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Gurugram, Pune, Bangalore, Chandigarh, Jamnagar, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Lucknow and Gandhinagar. Apart from that, 5G launch in cities will not happen in a single manner. It will happen in a scattered manner, and even if though the 5G might be available in Delhi, it is not true, or it will not be the case like whole Delhi will be taking advantage, or whole Delhi will have the umbrella of 5G over it. Only few pockets might be the one which will be selected to this launch the 5G technology. And in case of 5G absence, network would have automatic high speed 4G backup. And thus network deployment work is progressing at a hectic pace. However, the companies also have made a point to the government regarding this. So who are the major players who are going to be responsible for the launch of 5G in India? So as per the money spent or the capital investment made in the buying of a spectrum and also the development of other infrastructure facilities, two major players are there. The one is Reliance Jio, and Reliance Jio says that by the end of Diwali, in the metro cities such as Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Reliance Jio will be able to unfold its 5G network. On the other hand, the second major player is Airtel, Bharti Airtel, and as per the statement given by Bharti Airtel, their statement is their statement basically refers to that they will be able to cover more or much larger areas by the end of year 2023, where they have expectation that the whole India can be covered under the 5G network under the umbrella of Airtel. So these are the two major players as far as the launch of 5G network is concerned. So let us try to understand that what is the importance of 5G or what is the impact of 5G. So first of all, as per the statement or notification published by Ministry of Communications as well as the Communication Minister Asni Vaishnaw, he has said that the unveiling of 5G or launch of 5G can unleash new economic opportunities and societal benefits. And as per one estimate that has been made by the government, it is expected by the end of year 2035, the overall revenue that will be garnered or accrue to the government exchequer only because of direct as well as indirect result of 5G launch will be somewhere around $450 billion. This is very large sum. So government is basically focusing upon getting or garnering economic benefit after the launch of the 5G. And due to high speed connectivity, due to the very we can say very low latency that 5G offers, it is also believed that basically the launch of such services at lesser prices, at lower prices in India, can have a transformational force for the Indian society, both urban as well as the rural communities. Now, if you want to know more detail that what is the difference between 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G and 5G, we already have made a video on our channel. The information button you can click and you can go and look at that particular video as well. So how common people are expected to benefit from this launch of 5G. So first of all, as we discussed, the 5G has much superior internet speed, much higher internet speed, and also it has very low latency. We can understand this by looking at this figure, that if you compare the predecessor of 5G, that is 4G, which we are using today, and the 5G itself. In the 4G, the maximum speed that internet can attain is almost up to 100 megabits per second. On the other hand, once 5G is launched, the speed of data communication can rise as high as 10 Gbps. So it is almost 10 times more faster as compared to 4G. Not only that, in the case of latency as well, the latency in the 4G was somewhere about 10 to 100 millisecond, while it is expected that once the 5G is launched, the latency can be brought under 1 millisecond. So almost 10 times less latency the 5G will have to offer as far as its comparison to 4G is concerned. Latency basically refers to the time delay or time lag that basically occurs between the sending of data and the receiving of data. For example, simply we can understand, if you want to open a website, so we are basically sending the data pockets, and in response to that data pockets, the website opens up. So this time lag that occurs, it is called as latency, and the time lag between the sending of data and receiving of data will be very, very less in case of the 5G. And that is why through this, it will be very, very easier, and the convenience that the network or that the internet offer to us will also increase after the launch of 5G system. So let us try to understand that how the development of 5G has happened in India, what has been its background. So the launch of 5G or the development of 5G can be traced back to year 2017, when the central government basically set up a very high level forum of representatives that has contributions from different fields, variety of fields such as industry, academia, government, as well as regulators. And after this high level forum of representatives, they were asked or they were assigned the task to evaluate and approve the roadmap for rolling out 5G. That means this particular high level forum, they have to make sure that what are the challenges the government is going to face, or that our present technology is going to face in unrolling of 5G. What should be the better way of allocation of a spectrum, 5G spectrum, to different companies? What should be the principle of a spectrum allocation? And all this related areas were something that has to be deliberated upon, and then finally the report has to be submitted to the government at the end of the deliberation. So after a discussion of almost 1 year, finally in the year 2018, this high level forum submitted its report to the government, and the major theme of this report or major recommendation of this report was that they asked government to focus on areas such as regulatory and spectrum policy, spectrum allocation, on the application of 5G. What are the areas where government is focusing upon the application of 5G, and the huge case labs for developing locally tailored solution as far as the 5G the system is concerned, or 5G technology is concerned. And finally, thus in next year, in year 2019, both the regulator, that is Telecom Regulatory Authority of India TRAI, as well as the Department of Telecommunication, they started deliberations on the spectrum pricing and on the spectrum allocation. And finally, as a result of all this development, in this particular year, in the month of August, the auction of 5G spectrum was carried out, which was the final steps toward the launching of the services, and it was completed. And as a result of this spectrum allocation, the Geo or Reliance Geo has spent the maximum amount of money and has emerged as the largest, we can say, auctioneer of this spectrum. And at the second place, we have the Bharti Airtel. So what are the technology that will be used by the telecom companies to launch 5G? So overall, the technology, 5G technology, can be divided into two types. One is, we can say, as standalone mode, and the second technology is something that is called as non-standalone. In the case of India, the Reliance Jio is going to launch 5G in standalone mode, while the Bharti Airtel is going to launch 5G in the non-standalone. So let us try to understand what are the differences among these. So first of all, if 5G has to be launched by a standalone mode, there need to be a development and build up of dedicated equipment that can only handle 5G communication. On the other hand, in non-standalone mode, 5G can be developed even on the existing infrastructure that is supporting 4G telecommunication or 4G technology. And that is why due to these differences, what other differences we can see is that in the case of standalone mode, we have a very high initial capital is required, and also the rollout time will be longer. And this we can understand, because obviously if you have to build a dedicated infrastructure, you have to build a dedicated equipment and technology for 5G, the cost will be much more huge, and the rollout period will also be higher. And that is why the Reliance Jio is expected to spend somewhere about 2 lakh crore rupees on the development of the 5G infrastructure and its rollout. On the other hand, in standalone mode, thus we can say that both 4G network as well as the 5G network can exist with parallel to each other, and both services can be provided by the same telecom provider. However, the devices will be different. On the other hand, in non-standalone mode, due to the development of 5G on existing infrastructure, the cost is less and the rollout time is also less. And now we can understand that why Bharti Airtel is expecting that by the end of 2023 they can bring the whole India under the ambit of 5G. And thus, overall, also one advantage that non-standalone mode offers is that the current pool of the smart devices that we have in India is the one that is supporting both 4G and 5G. And that is why if the 5G is launched on the same device or on the same technology on which 4G is working, then all the devices will be able to catch or access the 5G. Like large number of devices, we can say, will be able to access this 5G spectrum. So that is the differences between two types of technology. Now, what is the smartphone ecosystem that we are having in India right now? So first of all, we can say we can divide the smartphone. That is the smartphones will be the one who will be the main the recipient of 5G technology or main beneficiary of 5G technology. So in that case, we can divide the smartphone segment into two types or two parts. One, we have the mid-tier segment. That means the smartphone costing somewhere between 20 to 30,000, and then we have the budget segment, that is smartphone costing lower than rupees 20,000. So as far as the India is concerned, the highest share of 5G enabled smartphones is in mid-tier segment, where it makes up 39% of the 5G enabled smartphone. On the other hand, if you look at the budget segment, it has a relatively a lesser percentage, and 34% of all smartphones in the budget segment are basically 5G enabled. Overall, because the 5G now has been rolled out, and since past 4 or 5 years there was always a demand and expectation that in the near future 5G will be launched, we have seen that the share of 5G smartphone in India has been on a steady rise, and especially in the last 2 years, its increase has been tremendous. So, thus we can say that more than 40 to 50% or 60% of India's smartphone ecosystem currently can support 5G technology. Now, one more thing we can try to understand is what is the share of 5G enabled smartphone as far as the brands are concerned. So, the highest number of smartphone 5G enabled smartphone in India, that stands somewhere about 24%, is contributed by Samsung. Then at the second number with 13% of the 5G enabled smartphone, with the 13% share, is Vivo. And again at the same number with 13% 5G enabled smartphone share is we have the OnePlus. So these three companies are the companies, major mobile companies, which are having highest number of 5G enabled smartphone that is in circulation in India, that is basically being operated in India or used in India. So that is all about the 5G technology and its various peripheral matters we have discussed. I hope you understood the concept of 5G and the nitty-gritties of the recent launch of 5G. That is all for today. Thank you very much.